Welcome everyone to a podcast on episode of Stinger. It's me Zero here with.
Ryder.
The Little King.
Episode of Stinger is an hour-long Kyu Ranger special. As the name implies, it focuses on Stinger and Champ during a time period in the show where the two left on their own to do their own thing, and we didn't see too much about what they did during that time. The special actually opens up after all that stuff has happened, and it actually starts up at the end of the High School Wars like miniseries special. I was actually super surprised because I didn't know that that's what was that happening. How did you feel about that?
First off, sorry to cut you off like that. I honestly thought it was clever. Like, you wouldn't expect it to be as, well, maybe not exactly expected, but I honestly didn't expect it to be as dark as it was, especially after how lighthearted the High School Wars was, but I thought it was really cool how they started it off, like, straight into the get-go on the Megazord fight, getting out of the way. Nice on their part.
Yeah, I thought it was a good start. I mean, it's a V cinema, so it's a little more mature. But hearing the news lately that we shut down like superhero time, or not superhero time, superhero Tyson, it's kind of ended. At first, I was like a little sad, but I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. If they can save money and make more specials like this, it'd be worth it.
I completely agree. The Superhero Tysons have run their course. Let's put that money towards more quality crossovers like Go Rider was.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched what is it, episode 19, the one with Gavan and Deca Ranger. I'm like, you know what? That was actually pretty good too. So if you're gonna do stuff like that, that'd be pretty fun too.
Hell, we could even do better Sentai crossovers.
Yeah. So, uh, most of the episode is just a flashback of what happened during that time period when Stinger and Champ went off on their own. Uh, I was actually kind of disappointed when we didn't get much of that in the main series itself, but then I found out we were getting this, which was basically going to cover it, and it didn't really disappoint. We have the character Mika, who is kind of like Stinger's parallel to his brother Scorpio, and I thought this was a really nice touch.
Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, Mika was pretty much really heavily implied she was Scorpio's parallel in this world, but I really liked it too. But she seemed to be a lot more on edge, a bit more streamlined in her train of thought, I think. Because, I mean, with Scorpio, sometimes it felt like, well, especially when he tried to undermine Amage, it felt more like he had more than one thing going in his head. With Mika, she seems a bit more streamlined in her thoughts. She has one goal and she's sticking with it. I think it's pretty cool. And of course, other people might have ostracized her for the arm, but I honestly thought it looked good on her.
I mean, she was a well done of character. Uh, I mean, I do have like one problem with her. I mean, it's not her. It's just the same shit that Toei does when they put like female lead characters in like V cinema movies problem, but we'll get to that. Otherwise, yeah, she was really well, like she was well acted. Uh Fight scenes with her were great. She was awesome.
when she's first introduced, you don't even know what happened. You just know like there is history here. Like everyone in town is already mad at her and calling her a monster. She must have done something to do that. You would imagine. Uh, of course, we find out later she may not have done much at all. But at first, I was thinking like she may have attacked them more than once at this point in the series. Uh,
I mean, I thought she was just an outcast and they were just being assholes to her, but what they do with the backstory is actually even more interesting than that. But go ahead, King.
Yeah, I do agree with you on the backstory. That is pretty cool. But honestly, it's a little bit of both because even with what he said in the backstory, I mean, they didn't have to pin her on Jack Matter. I mean, until she openly said she was Jack Matter. But before Stinger and Champ came along, she never said she was. So they didn't have to do that. So I saw it as a little bit of both. And yeah, the fight scenes with her were just nuts. That last one before Stinger and Champ confront her, especially. Because those last two in particular, well, last three technically, those really hit home about how tough she could be when she needed to be.
and speaking of the fight scenes in this special were top notch. They made fantastic use of the settings they were in, people crashing into obstacles and knocking each other over. Ah,
I mean, they were pretty well. Okay, here's my like one of the few problems. It's like it's shot great for the most part, like 95% of the time. It's just whenever the Q Rangers show up, like the angles kind of get a little wonky, and then the shots feel like shit for like a minute. And then like it happens like once or twice later on, but like for the most part, it's pretty solid. I also like how later on I think it's like Stinger or whatever does like goes up the stairs and then like spins around on it and like kicks Champ or something. I was like that was pretty awesome, especially like out of suit.
Yeah, that fight was just. Honestly, it was the fight that was gonna happen eventually because even with Champ trying to make amends with everything by going with him, we all knew at some point, even if it wasn't in the main show, those two were gonna try to kill each other. It was about damn time we got this fight. And yeah, I mean, some of the Q Ranger shots were a little bit wonky, but I think that was just a way for them to contrast, because, like you said, the other fight shots I think were really well done, but they might have wanted to try some different angles, make it have a different feel of atmosphere for when the actual Q Ranger suits were there. So maybe that's something, or it could just be pulling this out of nowhere, in which case I agree with you on that part.
Yeah, I mean it does get better as the special goes on. It's just like when they first show up and it's like the shots like oh it was this great fight scene and they show up and like the fight quality goes down to shit for like 30 seconds and it goes
Okay,
back up. I was like, what the fuck happened? uh because like did the like fight choreographer like take a break or something and they're like ah it's fine
maybe they
Sentai
were
nobody's
like,
gonna.
okay, we have to like our heroes are in here now. We have to do it special for them, and that special thing they tried to do didn't work out.
Yeah, it was stupid because like the rest of the shots they're like really nice, like steady cam shots, or like you know tripod or whatever. But like when they show up, it's this like weird like Dutch angle tilting shit, and I'm like, why are you moving the camera? Like you're making it unfocused. Like stop that. It's just making it look worse. Um, yeah, there was that. Also, while watching like Champ and Stinger fight, and like actually basically all the fights in this is probably like the best goddamn two rider movie, like Rider 1 and 2, or fucking Build and Cross. What the fuck's his name? Yeah,
Ryuga,
it's yeah, Ryuga, I know, right? Like I don't know his rider name because it doesn't fucking matter.
you see
Like
crossed with Z's instead of S's.
Just call him
yeah, maybe.
Claws.
Yeah, Claws. Um I'm just gonna call him Ryuga that way, like whatever. Like they're gonna have a fight next episode. It's not gonna be nearly as good as this. Um, because like they're all constantly like bickering, but like Champ and Stinger actually have like okay, no, these are characters who actually have beef. You guys are just idiots in suits. Like knock that shit off. You're
Okay,
gonna get somebody killed.
the
Um,
real difference, I think, is basically, like you said, those two can be idiots when they fight. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it basically, between Build and Ryuga, it feels kind of like playful almost. The two, they get on each other's nerves, but they're not going to kill each other unless it's, what's coming up. But Champ and Stinger, those two have openly tried to kill each other on more than one occasion, this one included. So it makes sense that the two would have beef.
Still, though, the their conflict in the main show didn't get anywhere near the levels that it went to in this special. The
Well,
conflict here is what I thought that was going to happen in the main series and didn't.
well, I think that's because more time passed. Because, I mean, we saw a little bit of time pass between 14 and 15, but in the special, we don't know how long has passed, other than the fact that it's been, what, a day or two since they met Mika? But we don't know how long it's been since before they left and up to that point, and from that point onwards. So, God knows how much it escalated from then.
yeah, I mean, it could be just because it's a V cinema and like we can do more stuff in V cinema with like here's the thing, they've been putting out really good V cinemas, so I'm like, all right, if the normal shows have become a little too kiddie and Amazon's is a little way too over the top for its own good, um for the most part, like season 2 kind of sort of toned it down. um yeah. But like the V cinemas are like the perfect mix. So I'm like, just make more. Like whoever freaking wrote this, give them another damn V cinema to write.
Of course, we then have like 10 minutes of this special that is just the whole Scorpio betraying his clan flashback that we got in the main series. Although this one felt strangely more fleshed out, it might be that it's just been almost a year since I've seen that.
So that actually happened in the show. I thought it was like okay. When I saw it was like a little bit. It was
Yeah, they
shown.
couldn't show much of that, but like you guys have been saying, since it's a V cinema, they can go all out with this.
Yeah.
So,
This, I feel like the flashback here was a bit more fleshed out, but for the most part, we saw a lot of that in the main series. But I guess it does help to have it here.
definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, like if they reshot it with those characters, that'd be cool. But they probably would have just shot it on scene and then just cut it out of the show because it was too mature, maybe. Either way, I mean, like, good choice to put it in here because, like, I haven't seen the show in like forever. Um, but that was actually like it didn't feel too out of place because it makes perfect sense why it's here. It's not like a pointless flashback. And plus, like, hey, we get to see Melon Lord again, so that wasn't too
I knew
terrible.
you were gonna say it. Oh Lord.
Look, it's either that or him being that jester character from Garo, and like,
Oh
Uh, so, the whole conflict between Stinger and Champ is because Stinger sees his brother in Mika and he's worried that she's becoming like him and doesn't want her to do that. And this causes some conflict with Champ, who's like, are you still insisting that your brother isn't a bad guy, kind of thing? This really adds to Stinger's character about how trusting and how hopeful he is. This really shows just how much he cares.
Oh yeah, because problem Stinger had with the beginning, not as a character, but in story plot wise, was that he put up too many walls. Granted, he had some good reasons at some points, Lucky in particular, but the point is, he built himself too far apart, and ultimately that's what almost led to his downfall. But in this case, we really see how false that seems. Like, he didn't build as many walls as we thought, to put it simply. And one thing you were saying, like how Stinger's still wavering and if Scorpio can be trusted at all. Mika, I think, was a good mediator, not just as a parallel to Scorpio, but also to see both sides of their arguments. Like, the whole damn time those two have been with each other, they've been at each other's throats, more so in this, obviously. But the massacre scene, you really see both of their sides being proven false. Like, Champ basically saying, how can he be innocent after all he's done and you still want to have faith in him? And the same goes for Mika. And, Scorpio was. Sorry. Stinger was too trusting, Champ was too blindsided. Tunnel visioned, I guess. So you can really see both of their ways of thinking just collapsing in on them in this situation, and they both deal with it very differently, and I commend them for showing that.
Yeah, I agree. It, it's amazing how well acted it is, and like how well they portrayed that. Especially because it's interesting that like Champ like flips from like he does like a 180 and it feels actually okay because he goes like, how can you like trust this person to no, let's go save them. Um, it actually works the way it's written, so that was well done.
Uh, then it, we have we have the recurring theme of Stinger singing this special as well, and he is a good singer. Uh, I don't really have much to say about the song, but I thought I should mention it. Do you guys have anything to say about it though?
I loved it.
Mm.
I'm a musician at heart, so that really was just a great highlight for me. I mean, maybe it was just a tiny bit much, but hey, I mean, I'm all for hearing it, so I was fine with it. And I can see parts of it where it might have worked if you look really deep, but sorry. Um, yeah, all in all, I really like it, and the song is really sweet. And let's look at it this way: would you rather have him sing for, or would you rather have episode 39? It's your pick.
Okay, so you were cutting out quite a bit there in a weird way.
Sorry, the interference on my side is rough
Yeah,
right now.
your audio doesn't sound too great.
Like disconnect and reconnect, they might fix it.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Give me a second.
Um,
That better?
yes.
Oh, thank God.
You want to say what you're saying again?
Yeah. I'm a musician at heart, so that was a really good moment for me. I can see where some people might have complaints about how much it was used, but hey, I'm happy to hear it. And I look at it this way: which would you rather have? Him singing with a purpose or episode 39? Your pick.
Yeah, I mean, it was well done, and he can actually sing, so that's good. But otherwise, like, it doesn't really take away from the show. Plus, it kind of adds to a little bit of his character. Like, yeah, he's wandering the world around, like, pretty much alone. And then, of course, he's gonna do something he remembers or whatever. It's like a simple thing. It just adds to his character. I was fine with it.
As for Mika's character, though, when she just goes on that murderous rage on town, I was just in shock at what I was seeing. Like, this is really brutal, straight up. And you can feel a lot of different emotions come at. Like, everyone is just angry at her and she's angry at them for it, and no one really knows why. They're just kind of persecuting her, and then she just up and kills them all.
I mean, yeah, throughout the whole damn special, they were just trying to kill the poor girl. Look, I can see her way of thinking when she was this Jack Matter. Honestly, I can. But that does not give them any kind of reason to prosecute a girl just because she has no arm. I said dumb, but I mean, that massacre scene, just all of them wide-eyed. And there weren't just, like, able men and women. There were children there that she murdered. Just cold blood. But I will be honest, they were planning on killing her first, so I
So,
don't want to call it so. I'm
so
not
that's like
calling
the
it
thing too. Like,
self-defense. Right?
they were planning on like killing her for a reason, and we don't see what that reason is. But I was trying to rationalize. Like, she must have done something to them first to justify it.
Well, you remember the backstory, right?
Yeah, we find out that like she didn't really do anything. But when I'm watching this scene, it's like she must have done something, right?
No, I mean
Okay.
the backstory implies kind of that like they set her up, where it's like they come into town, they beat up the
Yeah,
townsfolk, and then
I
they tell her to beat her up. And
I,
so
I
the thing
get
is,
that. What I'm saying is
We did
like before I got to that back part of the backstory, and I was watching this scene like with her murdering everyone. It's like, well, they were gonna murder her because she must have done something, right? And I'm like trying to justify that she actually did do something, but she didn't.
I
well,
mean,
not necessarily. I mean, I can see your reasoning on that point, but the whole reason, you know the backstory, you know that Jack Matter attacked, and look at it this way. Her arm isn't exactly normal looking. In fact, it looks a bit more similar to the Jack Matter monster. Despite the fact that she's lived there her whole life, who would you associate with Jack Matter now? The human that they're beating, or the human that looks closest to them? They needed a scapegoat, and she was that scapegoat. Jack Matter just, supposed gave her a way out, but only if she attacked. When she first attacked them first scene, that was basically the tipping point because there was their proof. They already suspected she was Jack Matter. That first was just proof for them. And then they started getting worse and worse. That's when they tried to kill her. Does that make a bit more sense?
Well, what I'm no, I get that it was all a setup. I get that. What I'm saying is that when I was watching the scene before we got to the part where they revealed that it was a setup, I'm saying like, well, she must. I was thinking like, well, she must have done something, and then later we find out
Oh,
no, it was a setup.
okay. I think I
That's all I
understand.
was saying.
Okay. Alright, I'm sorry. My bad.
Like in the moment when I see them like tying her up like a fucking witch hunt, I'm like, well, and then like she starts killing on them, like, well, she's killing them because they tried killing her, but they tried killing her, so she must have done something. And then, we find out no. What was the
Okay.
guy? What was the governor's name? Zabadar or something?
Okay. Zandar, uh, Zandar, which is Thunderbird.
Uh,
Get it? And he's a totem pole.
you kind of cut out a bit, so I didn't catch all that
What?
actually. Yeah, sorry.
It's Zambardo.
Can you type it in the
It's
chat?
Thunderbird. Sorry.
Uh,
Yeah, let's keep going before King's internet like totally dies or something.
yeah. Uh, Zondar Bardo, which means Thunderbird. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, because he looks like a totem pole. I actually didn't think about that when I was looking at him. I just thought that like he had a weird design, but now that you mention it, yeah, he does kind of look like a totem pole. Uh, so this guy is just straight up evil. Like he sets everything up for Mika to get blamed for something she didn't do, and then has tricks her into turning to him for power so she can get revenge, just so he can suck that her emotions away from her to strengthen himself. I have to say, like, as far as villains go, this was a pretty good plan. And it's a lot darker than we normally get in series for Sentai as of late. So I really liked this.
Yeah, I couldn't. This is the first time I've ever seen a monster plan a citywide genocide, all by the hunger. I mean, this dude caused hundreds of people to be murdered, me included, and just so he can get promotion. We've seen the Jack Matter. We've seen the silly side of the heroes. But this, a citywide genocide just for a promotion. Not even that big of one. He could have become like a freaking vice shogun or some shit. No, no, no. He's a freaking. Oh my god. That's insane to me. I swear.
Yeah, yeah. If anyone didn't catch that, King said, like, this guy caused citywide genocide for a promotion. What an ass.
I mean, like, to be fair, he's supposed to be a Super Sentai villain. Right? Like, what did you expect? Um, as for his plan, that's fucked up, but it's pretty. It's like it's a weird form of gang tactics. Um, like, I'm not sure if you've ever seen the show like Flashpoint, which is basically like a sniper team, squad team thing, Canadian cop show. And then so they have one where it's like gangs, except it's like Chinatown or whatever. And like one of the tactics that they use is like one, they target the kid that they want to be in the gang. And what they do is they send some members of the gang to harass the kid, so he's like pushed into a corner, right? And then they send another member of the gang to like sort of rescue the kid. Like this is like a little while later. I mean, like it's happening for like a month or a day or a couple days or whatever. So then this person feels like really like grateful for this person who rescues them, and then like that person slowly asks them for like this favor, and then like it slowly turns into them working for the gang. So yeah, it's fucked up, but like emotional manipulation is like standard gang tactics and things like that. So yeah, as fucked up as it is, like the real world is just as fucked up as this shit.
That makes me think of something. A video I saw, which is humanizing villains and just having them do like normal things to make them seem more real. Uh, it it doesn't really apply too much in this case. But you saying like how like the real world is just as fucked up as what this guy did, is, like, made me think of that. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, like that's one of the things when you write like a villain, like if your end motivation is why is your villain doing this because he's evil, that's stupid. If you want like an interesting or maybe relatable or basically less more than one dimensional villain, what you do is like, all right, make everybody the hero of their own story. That doesn't mean they're good. Just make it, hey, I'm doing this thing to the hero because the hero is just some other person who got in my way and I have to do this. So like imagine like if you're doing like I was thinking of writing something and like space pirates, right? Like why the fuck normally like if your character like main hero gets attacked by like space pirates or something, the thing is, oh, the space pirates are evil, right? Like that's the reason. It's like no, right? Like the space pirates fucking obviously attacked your character because they need money or supplies or something, and from their point of view, they don't give a shit that the main character is on this dinky little ship. All they know is, hey, this dinky little ship is fleeing. I mean, people, when they run away from shit, usually tend to take all their belongings or just the most precious shit and flee. And the small ship doesn't have enough weapons to fight back, so attack it. So that's the thing. Everybody is the hero of their own story, which means they're doing something for their own end goal. It doesn't mean they're good. It just kind of makes them a little more two more than one dimensional, which is good. Um, yeah, usually Sentai and Rider villains tend to be a little more just straight up evil and shit, but whenever you can kind of give them a little more like real world psychology or give them like an end goal that they're doing and the hero just happened to be in their path, it always makes villains more interesting.
that does tie into what King was saying. Like, he did all of this for a promotion. Gotta impress the boss of who's trying to conquer the galaxy.
I mean, like if he's the um I was watching that like Gavan Deca Ranger crossover where they say like, yeah, the whole galaxy is fucked, right? Like nobody's there to help people. So you either it's sort of like Star Wars, you kiss up to like the Empire or First Order because like if you don't, you've pretty much got nothing. You're so it's much easier in life if you just suck up to the big assholes who are just like fucking up the galaxy, but at least you're on the side that's winning.
Yeah. So, when Mika, after her murderous rampage, uh, goes and receives her new power from Don Armage as a reward, Stinger and Champ finally confront her to stop her. Uh, I thought the fight scene here was really good. Uh, but I don't really have much to say because we kind of talked about fight scenes already. Unless you guys want to say something.
No, I'm good on my end. I've said my piece.
Okay. I was just gonna say like, yeah, this like all the fights in this are decent. It They just keep doing the one thing that ticks me off, especially in V cinemas. It's like, all right, you have a female bad guy, give them a fucking suit. Like, how hard is it? Like, give her just a generic white suit, or even like the grunt suits with just a fancier helmet, like anything. But come on, man, you guys didn't even fucking try. I know why they didn't try because sex appeal, but god damn it, that was so stupid. And like they do this shit over and over, and it's super annoying.
Actually, yeah, I did notice that. She only had, like, not even half a suit. She had the head and then part of her torso. She didn't even get a full monster suit. Uh, of course, before they can do anything, before they can really truly end the fight, Zandar Bardo comes in and kills her to get his own power and then takes off. And then we cut back to the present where Stinger and Champ run into him again, and then Sting kind of has his own thing going on, so he has to take off. But then the other Q Rangers come in, and we get a pretty good in scene roll call. Uh, it's more. I always like it when the roll calls aren't just like, all right, cut to the stock footage with the CGI or green screen backgrounds. Like, no, do it there, where they're standing with the enemies around them. Just show us in scene. And the series has been doing it occasionally, and this was one of the better ones, I feel.
Um, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of in-scene stuff. I honestly can only recall maybe one or two instances that had full-on CG, but in the long run, yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, it was a good scene, good fight scene. I mean, it is always fun to see them henshin in the field, but thing is, like with riders, you have like one or two, but like Sentai members is like four or five of them, so it's kind of a pain in the ass to, I guess, do it all the time. But yeah, it's always
Yeah.
nice when they do it.
I get that it saves a lot of time and money not to keep doing it in the scene, but it's really nice when we get it. This fight scene was also pretty good. We got each character got some time to like showcase their skills, and it's been a while in the series since we got anything like that. So this was a good little fresher to just see how they actually fight when the camera is focused on them for a bit more than not at all because of how clustered they all when they all fight together. And Stinger gets a new power up. The unicorn horn on his arm thing. I thought it looked pretty good. I actually wouldn't mind seeing it more like in the main series, but it's just a special for this. Anything from you guys?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it was a good enough power up. My problem is uh, like you're almost taking more damage with this power up than you were without it. Almost, it seemed, but like it at the end of the day, it was fine.
Uh, One thing I really enjoyed though was when Stinger finally defeats Zandabar. Uh, he undoes his transformation before turning around when the explosion happens. He does it out. He like does the turnaround out of suit. That never happens. So seeing it here was like, wow, that was actually really good.
Yeah, all I was thinking doing that is, oh, cool guys don't watch explosions. Um, yeah, that plus it's a very like writer thing to do, or like modern Heisei writer thing to do.
uh,
Um, yeah,
Not for long, because the Heisei era is almost over.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I mean, I don't think no.
What
Build
do you?
hasn't done it, but XA did it a couple times.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah, King's having a little technical difficulties. She'll join us when she can.
we're almost
Let's
done
keep
though.
going. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so we got the mech fight at the beginning of the episode, so we don't get one at the end here. And I don't feel like every episode of a Sentai needs to have the mech fight in it. So I'm kind of glad they got it over with at the beginning here, with a good explanation for it too. Like, hey, it's continuing off of this little mini series we did. Now it's done. We don't need one at the end here. Stinger killed the bad guy. He won. Let's move on.
Yeah, it was well done. Like at first I was like, who the fuck are they fighting? I'm like, oh, it must be some generic guy. But I guess yeah, you're right. It's probably like somebody from the miniseries, so that
No,
makes more
it's
sense
straight up
because
like from the high school wars. It's the principal.
okay. Um, yeah, like I'm a Rider fan, so I don't really give two shits about like mech fights, especially like modern mech fights because they're so boring. Um, unless it's like, yeah, it's very rare nowadays to get like insanely good mech fights. Um, but because we're kind of tying back to the beginning, I actually really did like everybody's outfits because they kind of had like the school outfits, except they have like their colors somewhere. Like Hami has like the green headphones, and like um, Sparta has like the yellow undershirt, and like Lucky has the red one, and Kotaro, what was his just a dark blue? Like I couldn't, or maybe it was the scarf or whatever. I don't know. I didn't notice.
Kotaro's weapon is like this weird scarf thing that he has, and it's super obscure because his theme is that he's a bear. Why would he be attacking with some kind of weapon that's like that? Like he swings it around because it has two ball bearings on the ends, and we talked about this a long time ago, but I don't get what Kotaro's weapon is supposed to be. It feels more like a frog than a bear.
Yeah, I think they were just going with, oh, it's a bear, and maybe they just want. Okay, because the thing is, like, he doesn't have like his gloves don't have fingers; they're mittens.
Oh, that's cute. I never
Yeah,
noticed.
yeah, that's what I was like in the roll call. It like pans across, and then like everybody has like fingers, and his are just mittens. I was like, oh, okay, so they're just giving him a scarf just to match that. I was like, oh, that's cute.
Oh,
Um,
maybe it's like a cold thing, like a polar bear.
yeah, maybe.
Oh,
Well, because like his power is um Sholampo's boss, right? Like was he like a polar bear?
yeah, he was a polar bear.
Okay, then that's what it is. It's still weird though.
It still doesn't fit.
I guess it doesn't. Uh
They
I mean
didn't
I
do it
guess
here, but Kotaro also has a power where he just grows like 20 feet tall.
yeah, I've seen that. It's in like the first time he shows up, right? Or the first time he mentions.
Yeah, it's
Um
it's not good.
how much have they used that? Like
Uh,
at all?
I think like 3 times I've seen it.
Well, I mean I guess it's more than we knew. You know what? Like, okay, fucking Ultraman can have mechs. Why the hell doesn't Sentai have? I mean, I guess we know why they can't because they can't do the damn effect well enough. But like, it's not that hard. Like, you can just have like an Ultraman style character in your damn show. It would be fine. Like, hell, it would save the budget too.
They've had attempts in the past, but they didn't stick to it. Uh,
Yeah, I guess.
like the Green
I
Ranger
mean,
from Jew Ranger, there was just like one fight where he grew big.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's sort of the thing of like Sentai. It's like you could do so much more, but like Sentai likes to stick with its formula so much because like if you really wanted to, you could just fucking like Hibiki, right? Like it's a Sentai show except not a Sentai show, right? Like it's basically the concept of like a group of people with like similar powers working for an organization fighting like bad guys, which is basically a Sentai show, except it doesn't use Sentai tropes, and that's why it's different. So like, I mean, I guess maybe King might come back, so we're trying to wait for her.
She's waiting for me to say like, okay, we're gonna be wrapping up now.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, like if you want, we can talk about the little Sentai things, or do you want to just wrap it up?
Let's just wrap it up. I'll call King back in.
All right. Let's. I'll just do my final bit. Yeah, like a good movie. Like this was a hell of a lot more impressive than I thought it was. Like, fuck, get whoever worked on this. Like everyone who worked on, not everyone, but like most of the people behind the scenes who worked on this, get them back and make them do more movies because they did a great job.
I can get behind that. This was really well done. It kind of fell off at a few points, but for the most part, this was really good quality. I would watch more things like this.
Yeah, the acting was really good. The action was amazing. Story was really well woven into the main plot. I highly enjoyed it, and I would watch it again if I could.
Zero, do you have something to
Um,
say?
no, no, no. I was just gonna talk about next week.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. So next week, like Ryder and Setai are putting on an episode, but the week after that they're not. So because it's so close to the holidays and end of the year, the team's pretty much going to take next week off, and then we'll get back to you guys the week after that.
So, thanks for joining us tonight. If you were listening in, uh, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Uh, Tuesdays we do talk about Key Ranger. Wednesdays we talk about Kamen Rider Build. Key Ranger is on its final arc. It's going to be coming to an end in a couple more months. So if you haven't caught up on it, now's a good time to.
Sorry if I was a little hard to hear, everybody, but thanks for listening. Later, taters.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and see you after our small break.
We'll see you next time.